Not long ago, Europe was a beacon, a continent of open doors and second chances. But now, the open arms are closing. What began as a murmur of discontent is now a roar of suspicion and scarcity. The idea of what it means to be European is being redrawn, challenged by politics, economics, and fear of the unknown. This is the story of that change, a journey into the heart of a continent at a crossroads. Indian professionals were once courted by Europe. Doctors, engineers, IT specialists welcomed for their skills. But now, the mood has shifted. Skilled workers face subtle exclusion jokes, missed promotions, and open discrimination in housing. The narrative has twisted. These workers are blamed for rising rents and unaffordability. Politicians talk of capping numbers and prioritizing locals, while anti-immigrant rhetoric blurs the line between skilled migrants and asylum seekers. The welcome mat is gone, replaced by suspicion and resentment. Many now wonder if the European dream was ever real for them. The door that once opened for talent is now closing, quietly but firmly. For many Nigerians, Europe, especially the UK, was a land of opportunity, built on deep historical ties. But now, suspicion overshadows success. Racially motivated attacks rise, and media narratives link Nigerian communities to crime. Visa rules have tightened, and the process is deliberately discouraging. In the UK, the hostile environment policy has led to deportations and daily fear. The dream of Europe as a place of refuge is fading, replaced by anxiety and exclusion. For many, survival, not success, is now the goal. The open door has become a high wall. Pakistani communities have long contributed to Europe, especially in the UK and Germany. But trust is eroding. High-profile incidents and relentless media coverage have cast suspicion on entire communities. Political rhetoric now focuses on integration failures, with stricter immigration policies gaining mainstream support. Daily life is marked by suspicion and a fragile sense of belonging. The history of contribution is forgotten, replaced by a present defined by doubt. The future feels increasingly uncertain for many. Albania, once a minor player in migration, is now a political scapegoat in the UK and beyond. Media portrayals reduce Albanians to a criminal threat, ignoring the real reasons they migrate and the work they do. Public backlash is intense, with protests and online vitriol spilling into real life. Crackdowns and tightened asylum laws send a clear message: you are not welcome. The dream of European integration feels more distant than ever. Albanians are trapped between a home with no future and a Europe that greets them with hostility. When Kabul fell, Europe pledged to help Afghans fleeing the Taliban. The initial welcome was warm, but compassion quickly gave way to fatigue and resentment as asylum systems strained. Media reports link crime to refugees, fueling public backlash and political shifts to the right. Austria and others now focus on border security, not integration. For Afghans, safety in Europe is an illusion. Sanctuary has become limbo. The promise of refuge has been broken. The Strait of Gibraltar is a migratory fault line. Moroccans once filled vital jobs in Spain and France. Now, images of mass crossings fuel a sense of crisis and political exploitation. Economic tensions rise as locals blame migrants for job competition and lower wages. Borders harden, and human rights take a back seat to security. For young Moroccans, Europe is now a fortress, not a land of opportunity. The Mediterranean has become a moat, not a bridge. Turkish guest workers helped build modern Europe, especially in Germany, Austria, and the Netherlands. They stayed, contributed, and became part of the urban fabric. But far-right rhetoric now targets Turkish communities, erasing decades of contribution. Economic achievements are forgotten, replaced by accusations of failed integration. Many Turkish Europeans feel alienated, asked where they're really from, despite being born in Europe. Political ties to Turkey are used to question their loyalty. After 60 years, the message is clear. The welcome is wearing out. The Syrian refugee crisis once inspired Europe's humanitarian spirit. But optimism faded as integration challenges and costs mounted. High unemployment and social strain fueled political backlash and stricter laws. Syrians now feel stuck in limbo, grateful for safety, but seen as a problem to be managed. The phrase, "we can do this," has vanished, replaced by talk of limits and control. The open door of 2015 is closing. Europe's welcome has turned to weariness. Europe's response to Ukrainian refugees was swift and generous, with open borders and immediate rights. But the scale of the influx is straining housing and job markets, fueling quiet resentment. Locals question why Ukrainians receive preferential treatment over other refugees. Economic pressures are testing solidarity, and politicians are taking note. A two-tier system is emerging, breeding resentment among migrants and locals alike. The warm welcome is under strain, and its limits are becoming clear. Even for our people, hospitality may not last. The Chinese presence in Europe was once seen as economic opportunity, investment, tourism, and academic talent. Now, geopolitical tensions have turned trust into suspicion. Business deals are viewed as security risks, and students face scrutiny as potential agents. Cultural bridges are being dismantled, and anti-Asian sentiment has risen since the pandemic. The Chinese diaspora feels caught in a new Cold War, vulnerable and mistrusted. From prosperity driver to perceived threat, the shift is profound. Economic anxiety now mixes with geopolitical paranoia. From Germany's tech hubs to Spain's shores, Europe's doors are creaking shut. The continent is retreating inward, building new walls, both physical and psychological. The story isn't simple. It's about fear, limited resources, and who belongs. The answers will define Europe's future, fortress or flawed beacon. The journey continues. This story is still being written.